I, 24F, always thought my boyfriend, Liam, 26M, was just a bit of a tech geek who valued his privacy. We've been together for 2 years, lived together for 6 months, and honestly, things felt perfect. Until last Tuesday. It started out as a completely normal, mundane evening. We were curled up on the couch watching a movie, eating takeout, just enjoying a quiet rainy night. About halfway through the film, Liam stretched, said he'd be right back, and headed to the bathroom. He left his laptop open on the coffee table. Normally, I wouldn't look twice at it. We respect each other's privacy. But after a minute, the laptop's internal fan started whirring incredibly loudly, sounding like a jet engine getting ready for takeoff. I leaned over, thinking a stray tab was draining the CPU and I'd just close it to save his battery. The browser was open to a regular tech forum, but when I opened the task manager to see what was causing the lag, a weird background process caught my eye. It was running under a strange name, chem_feed_04. A knot immediately formed in my stomach. Out of pure curiosity, not malice, just genuinely weirded out, I minimized the browser window. Liam's desktop was meticulously organized, except for one random folder tucked into the bottom right corner. It had a boring, easily ignorable name, tax_receipts_2024. My hand shook slightly as I double-clicked it. Inside, there were no PDFs, no spreadsheets, and no financial data. Instead, the folder was filled with dozens of short, high-definition video clips. The thumbnails were dark, but they looked horrifyingly familiar. I clicked on the most recent file. The screen expanded, and my breath caught in my throat. It was me. The video was taken from 3 nights ago. I was fast asleep in our bed, completely unaware. The camera angle was elevated, coming from a sharp, downward slope near the top of our wardrobe. My chest tightened as I clicked another clip. This one was from the previous afternoon. It showed me changing out of my work clothes in the middle of the living room. I stared at the top of the frame, trying to figure out where the lens could possibly be hidden. That's when it hit me right there, in the exact center of the ceiling, was the new smoke detector Liam had installed a month ago, claiming the old one was outdated. I sat there, frozen in utter disbelief and terror, staring at my own face on the screen. Before I could even process the violation, I heard the bathroom door click open. I froze, the laptop still glowing brightly in front of me. Liam walked into the living room, his eyes scanning the space until they landed on me, and then on the screen. His face instantly drained of color. He lunged forward, slamming the laptop shut so hard I thought the screen would crack. "What the hell are you doing?" he snapped, his voice tight and panicked. I couldn't even speak. I just pointed at the closed lid, tears stinging my eyes. "Liam, what was that? Why are there videos of me sleeping? Why is there a camera in our living room?" Immediately, the defense mechanism kicked in. He didn't apologize, he went straight for classic gaslighting. "It's just for home security, babe. Are you serious right now? You're being completely paranoid." He threw his hands up, pacing the room. Landlords are notoriously sketchy, and I just wanted to make sure the apartment was safe while we're both at work. "I can't believe you're snooping through my private stuff. Don't you trust me? In the bedroom, Liam? While I'm sleeping?" I screamed, the betrayal tearing through me. "You recorded me changing. Without telling me." Seeing that the anger wasn't working, his demeanor shifted instantly. He dropped to his knees in front of me, his eyes pooling with tears. He grabbed my hands, begging for forgiveness. "I'm so sorry. You're right. It was a stupid, brainless boundary cross. I just get anxious about break-ins. Look, I'll delete them right now. Every single one." He opened the laptop, dragged the folder to the recycling bin, and emptied it right in front of my eyes. He swore up and down that the cameras were unplugged, that it was a massive mistake, and that he loved me more than anything. I wanted so badly to believe him. I loved him, and the alternative, that the man I lived with was a monster, was too terrifying to face. But my gut was screaming that something was terribly wrong. That night, we went to bed. Liam fell asleep within minutes, his breathing deep and even next to me. But I lay there wide awake, staring at the dark ceiling. My mind kept racing back to the task manager screen. Right next to that background process, I remembered seeing a tiny, blinking green icon. It was a cloud syncing icon. He hadn't just saved those videos locally. He had a digital backup. And I knew his master password. Liam used the name of his childhood dog followed by his birth year for literally everything. I waited until I was absolutely certain he was deeply asleep, then slowly, silently, slid out from under the covers and grabbed my phone. I crept into the bathroom at 2 a.m., my bare feet freezing against the cold tile. I shut the door as gently as possible, clicking the lock into place with an agonizingly slow twist of my wrist. Sitting down on the edge of the bathtub, my hands were shaking so violently I could barely keep a grip on my phone. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs as I opened a browser window and navigated to the login page of the encrypted cloud storage service Liam always raved about. I typed in his email. Then, holding my breath, I entered his master password, his childhood golden retriever's name and his birth year. Access granted. A cold sweat broke out across my neck. The cloud dashboard loaded up, and I immediately realized that whatever facade Liam maintained in real life, his digital world was a monument to clinical, terrifying precision. The cloud drive wasn't a messy dumping ground for files. It was an immaculately organized catalog. There were master folders labeled by year, which expanded into subfolders labeled by month, which finally opened into folders labeled by individual names. The first one I saw, right at the top of the 2025 and 2026 directories, bore my own name. I tapped the folder, and the screen populated with an endless wall of media files. There weren't just the few dozen clips I had found on his laptop. There were hundreds of them. As I scrolled, the sheer scope of what he had done began to crush me. It wasn't just footage of me sleeping or changing. He had recorded entire, mundane days of my life without my consent. I stopped on a video file from 3 months ago. The thumbnail showed our kitchen. I played it, keeping the volume at a barely audible whisper against my ear. It was a video of me on the phone with my mom, enthusiastically planning a surprise 26th birthday party for Liam. I remembered that day perfectly. I had felt so clever, keeping it a secret from him. But watching the video, I noticed the camera angle was coming from a tiny gap between the microwave and the upper cabinets. A hidden microphone picked up every single word I said. I remembered how eerie it was when Liam acted completely unsurprised at the party, casually guessing what his gifts were before he even opened them. He hadn't been intuitive. He had been spying on me. The sheer, suffocating weight of the invasion made me physically sick, forcing me to lean over the toilet, dry heaving in the dark. But the nightmare was only beginning. When I wiped my mouth and looked back down at the screen, I backed out to the main directory. That's when the true horror sank in. My folder wasn't the only one. There were 3 other folders, each dedicated to a different woman. One was labeled Chloe. I knew that name. It was his ex-girlfriend, the one he claimed had insane trust issues and broke up with him out of nowhere. The second was labeled Sarah, a girl he had gone to college with who he still occasionally interacted with on Instagram. But it was the third name that made the blood freeze in my veins, Maya. Maya is my 21-year-old sister. She had stayed over at our apartment for a week last summer while transitioning between college dorms. My thumbs felt like lead as I clicked through Chloe's folder first. The timeline went back 4 years. It was the exact same, sick pattern. Pinhole cameras hidden in bathrooms, bedrooms, living spaces. But Liam hadn't just kept videos of Chloe. Tucked inside her folder were text documents. I opened one. It contained meticulously typed notes documenting her daily schedule, her menstrual cycle, her dietary habits, and a list titled Fears/Triggers. He wasn't just recording these women, he was studying them like lab rats, analyzing their vulnerabilities to better manipulate them. Sick. The word screamed in my head. He is sick. With dread pooling in my stomach, I opened my sister's folder. The very first video file broke my heart into a million pieces. The thumbnail was an unmistakable view of our guest bathroom, shot from a low angle inside the tissue box holder on the counter. It was footage of Maya taking a shower. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The man I shared a bed with, the man I loved, was a literal predator who had compromised my own family. I had brought a monster into my sister's life. Then, I scrolled down to the very bottom of the vault. Below the names, there was a single folder simply labeled Shared. I tapped it, expecting more videos, but instead, it opened up a portal to an invite-only, decentralized group drive and forum. My eyes scanned the threads, reading text that made me want to claw my own skin off. Liam wasn't just hoarding these videos for his own sick satisfaction. He was part of an underground network of men who actively traded home security and spy footage of completely unsuspecting women. I saw a thread Liam had started himself, uploading a clip of me from our living room. Beneath it were comments from anonymous usernames, rating the footage, discussing my body, and giving Liam digital tokens or credits to unlock access to other users' drives. It was a marketplace of violations. Panic, cold and sharp, overrode my shock. I looked at the digital clock on my phone, 3:45 a.m. Liam could wake up at any moment. If he realized I knew, he could wipe the entire cloud drive with a single command from his phone, and I would have absolutely zero proof. I needed evidence. I immediately began a massive, frantic extraction. I couldn't download the whole cloud, so I went for the throat. I took rapid screenshots of the shared forum, the usernames, the text logs, and Liam's account details. Then, I began blindly downloading as many of the high-definition videos as my phone's storage could possibly handle, focusing heavily on the clips of my sister, myself, and the files in the shared marketplace. The download bars crept forward painfully slow. 50%. 75%. My phone's storage warning popped up, storage almost full. I cleared out my old photos in a frenzy, keeping the cloud transfer alive. Come on. Come on. Finally, the master progress bar hit 99%. Suddenly, the floorboards right outside the bathroom door gave a sharp, familiar creak. I froze, my thumb hovering over the screen, paralyzing fear locking my muscles. The brass bathroom door handle slowly jiggles. It stops against the lock. Then, Liam's voice cuts through the dead silence of the apartment, shockingly calm, entirely devoid of emotion, and deeply unsettling. Babe? What are you doing in there with your phone at 4 a.m.? My heart stopped. I shoved the phone straight down into the waistband of my sweatpants, pulling my oversized shirt down to cover it. I forced my voice to sound drowsy, trying to mask the violent shaking in my chest. I have an upset stomach, babe, I called out, squeezing my eyes shut. I think the takeout was bad. Go back to sleep, I'll be out in a second. The handle jiggled one more time, and then there was a long, agonizing silence. Finally, I heard his footsteps retreat back down the hallway. I waited another minute, unlocked the door, and walked back into the bedroom. Liam was lying in bed, but he wasn't asleep. He stared at me intensely in the dark, his eyes scanning my posture, trying to read my face for any hint of betrayal. I didn't look at him. I just muttered something about needing a glass of water, climbed back under the covers, and turned my back to him. I spent the next 4 hours pretending to sleep, watching the shadows shift across the wall while my heart pounded fiercely against my ribs. The moment the clock struck 8 a.m., Liam left for his corporate job. The second the front door clicked shut, the adrenaline kicked in, and I sprang into action. I knew I couldn't pack everything. Taking too long was a luxury I didn't have. I grabbed a duffel bag and threw in my passport, birth certificate, my most important documents, and enough clothes to last a few weeks. Then, I gently coaxed my cat into his carrier. While doing this, I called my brother-in-law, Mark. He knew something was terribly wrong from the sheer panic in my voice, and within 20 minutes, he pulled up to the apartment in his truck. Before I walked out of that apartment for good, I decided to do a sweep. Now that I knew what to look for, the horror became tangible. I found them everywhere. The smoke detector in the living room came down first. Then, I noticed a USB wall charger plugged in next to my vanity. Looking closer, a tiny glass lens gleamed in the center of the plastic. In the guest bathroom where my sister had stayed, I found a tiny pinhole camera embedded right inside the grill of a Bluetooth speaker. A wave of pure, unadulterated rage washed over me. I grabbed a hammer from the kitchen drawer and smashed every single camera into uncreatable pieces. I left the shattered electronic boards and plastic housings piled high right on the kitchen counter, a clear message that his secret was out. Mark helped me load my cat and bags into the truck, and we drove straight to the police station. I sat in a sterile interview room with a detective, my hands still trembling as I handed over my phone. I showed him the downloaded files, the explicit folders of my sister, the clinical notes on his ex, and the screenshots of the shared internet forum. The detective's face went completely pale. He was visibly disgusted, shaking his head as he looked at the marketplace threads. Because of the sheer volume of files, the explicit voyeurism, and the clear evidence of an active distribution network involving multiple victims, he assured me they were treating this with the highest level of urgency. While I was still sitting at the station filling out my statement, my phone began blowing up. It was lunch. Liam had gone home, found the smashed cameras, and realized I was gone. At first, the texts were pure, controlling rage. "Where the hell are you? What did you do to my tech? You have no right to touch my things, call me right now." But as the minutes ticked by and I didn't reply, the tone shifted into pathetic, desperate begging. "Babe, please don't do this. I have a sickness, I know I need help. Please don't go to the police, don't ruin my life over a mistake. I love you." I stared at the screen, feeling absolutely nothing but disgust. I blocked his number on everything. A week later, the detective called me with an update. Armed with a warrant, a cybercrimes unit had executed a simultaneous raid on Liam's workplace and our old apartment. They seized his laptop, phone, and 3 separate external hard drives. Liam was arrested at his desk in front of all his coworkers. Because of the shared folder and his involvement in trading the footage online, he isn't just facing local voyeurism charges, he is facing federal cybercrime charges for distribution. It's been a few months since that nightmare unfolded. I'm currently living in a secure apartment in a new neighborhood, and the very first thing I did was install a security system that I control. My sister Maya and I are both in therapy now, slowly working through the trauma and the massive breach of safety we experienced in a place that should have been a sanctuary. I still look at smoke detectors, USB blocks, and random electronics with a wave of suspicion everywhere I go. But I am safe now, and he is behind bars. Ladies, trust your gut. If something feels off, look closer. Thanks for listening.